All right, hello. Uh, you guys have anything to say here? Just start us off here.
Oh, yes. Hello.
Introductions and so forth.
I am Wolf of Dimensions,
Yeah, I'm D-Man.
and
I'm
today,
Johnos Firewalker.
today we are here to talk about. No, Jonathan, what are we here to talk about today? Since you brought this to our attention.
Well, I guess we could do it. We're doing an open discussion. Some questions to start us off about the current state of Godzilla and Toho. Okay,
That's
so
fascinating.
anything? Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see.
So
For Godzilla, so far is here's how it goes. Toho in 2004, well, in the Millennium series, had been pumping out videos just to satisfy audiences. Didn't care much about story plot. 2004, they ended the series. What I've heard and what I've researched is that the only reason Toho put Shin Godzilla out in the first place was because Legendary went so big.
So kind of what I got from it was the directors of Shin Godzilla, they didn't like the Legendary movie. They didn't like 2014, so they decided to basically say this is the true Godzilla, and then they put out Shin Godzilla to kind of be the defining. This is what Godzilla is.
Yeah, kind of like with the '98 movie, they didn't like that too much, so they put out Godzilla 2000.
Well, you see, but the difference there is that Godzilla 2014 was an actual hit, and a lot of people, even fans, like it. So there's the major difference that ties whatever hatred of the movie that they'd have, especially the Toho purists. If anyone's had any problem with those people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they, here's the thing. I'm okay. You can like whatever you like, but do not spread your hatred of other things just because you only like a certain thing.
The thing I don't get
Well,
is why people think that if it's not from Japan, it's not Godzilla. I don't understand that mentality at all because 99% of the times these people are watching the English dubs.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Jonathan? I was curious.
I was just gonna say it isn't so much this time. It isn't they hate the movie. It's the 2014 movie brought the character back to relevance,
Oh, well,
and
no,
they might be able to.
yeah, I get what you're saying, but I was talking about fans, like some of the fans who've been really
Yeah.
big on Toho purism, which it's not bad. It's kind of exhausting after a while. But let's get back on focus. How they're heading so far, it seems that they're going back to a basic one monster, which is almost like a breath of fresh air to me, because they haven't done that since what '85.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like when 2014 was coming out, we were all hoping that that one would be, a solo Godzilla movie, and then it wasn't. And I was fine with that for what the movie 2014 was, but it looks like this Shin Gojira, I don't think it could ever work with another kaiju in it.
Right.
Yes. So really, this movie will come down to how it's portrayed, how the actors portray it, and how people will take it. Because you know, the fear of nuclear weapons still exists. So the general message should be okay. It just matters on how serious Toho will make this and how they want people to take it. And you see, my point here is that Legendary's Godzilla isn't as much of a thing against anti-nuclear weapons as it is more of the what animals would be like if they existed in our world. Now, of course, that doesn't mean they're real, but it's just a more realistic view, quote unquote.
Yep.
I'll agree with that.
Because you got to admit, 2014 is probably the closest we'll ever get to Godzilla being quote unquote real.
Yeah. That
Right.
was a big thing, like with the gills and the more trunk-like feet.
It signified that Godzilla would always be a heavy set monster, which was okay. But people complained that 2014 was too big, and now people are complaining that 2016 is too disproportional. So people are complaining either way.
Yeah, that's a big problem. Is everybody is upset? I just got a comment today. Someone saying, why do you like this new Godzilla? He has thunder thighs. It's like you're probably one of the same people who's complaining about like 2014, but then a lot of people don't realize if you look back, Godzilla's always been big on the bottom.
Yeah, he's always been huge. That's the thing. Like when I first saw your video on that, because it was the first time I'd seen that photo. At first I was like, "Geez, his thighs are big." But then I look back at it, his thighs are about as big as like the '90s Godzilla's thighs were on him.
Yeah. I made that point in a comment on that video that
Yeah.
the high side Godzilla had massive thighs as well.
The major point here is the only major difference is that his arms are smaller, and his arms are basically smaller because he's supposed to portray the '54 Godzilla, which was supposed to have the exact same arms.
Yeah, like if you look back, they originally made the original suit for 54, and it pretty much was very similar to this new Shin Gojira suit. Had smaller arms, was way bigger on the bottom, and yet the only reason they didn't wind up using that suit was because it was too heavy for the actors to move in, which is why they cut it in half.
Yeah,
So
they use legs.
yeah, so a lot of people are just upset, and then a lot of people will go back and say 54 is the greatest Godzilla movie ever, had the greatest design, and yet now when we get a modern day, pretty much straight version of it, everyone's upset about it.
Well, you see, it's because people will complain about anything if it's not the original, even if it's almost an exact copy. We talked about this last night, me and you did.
Yeah.
So it just matters on what your definition of 1954 Goji is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you see, what you've got to look at is that even Shin Godzilla was literally drafted off of the design art for a more crocodile-faced, more scarred-looking version that they ended up not going with because it just didn't hold up, if I'm correct.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
had three
uh,
designs. They had the
uh,
crocodile design, they had the warty, and then they had one other.
Yeah. What were you saying, Jonathan?
Yeah, I was remembering. I was looking through the Godzilla wiki at old concept art for the original Godzilla, and one of them looked almost identical to the poster shot for Shin Goji.
Yeah, because literally, they were going to use the crocodile and warty Goji, but it didn't really turn out as well. I don't think the costume looked good to them, and I feel like they originally wanted that design, but they just couldn't go with it.
Mm-hmm. Then they went with
Because,
they went with like the more human dragon style.
yeah, they went with a traditional. Like if you look at the concept art for the Goji that they use in '54, it has more of the Chinese dragon features, like the little ears and the eyes style.
Yeah,
Like they're all
I
more
see what
Chinese
you're.
dragon.
Yeah.
So Jonathan, you said you had friends who work on the wiki, right?
Yes, I do.
Do you know what they think about Shin Gojira?
Yeah, a lot of them are complaining about the arms. Is the biggest complaint I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised.
Here's just the point that I've been trying to make is we haven't seen the movie. We don't know what the suit looks like in full action. So there's no real point in complaining about the arms when I don't know. We don't know what they're going to be.
And that goes back to the point of 1954's arms were supposed to be the exact same way. The only reason they wouldn't is because the guy had to have arm room in the suit.
Mm-hmm. And if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, this new one is like a 3-man puppet, right?
It's a mix. I've heard that they switched a lot of it to CGI because they had problems, and also a lot of their props were released on the interwebs
Yeah.
by. So, I think a lot of it's changed up because of that crap, because someone just couldn't wait. And, to be
Yeah.
honest, here's the thing. They didn't give us much when they first released it. And, that can be upsetting, but when they did give us stuff, they gave us more than we thought we'd ever get.
You're
Like, when
talking
they
in terms of like the
Right.
the original poster?
Yeah, because they just showed us the foot, but then when we get the trailer so many months forward, it's like almost every body shot that we'd wish to see.
Yeah.
Like, so my point
Yeah.
is that they had a big release.
Right.
So, Jonathan, what questions did you have for us to talk about?
Um. Well, yeah, I got a couple in my notes here. Yeah. This is a good one. How is the ever-changing video game industry going to affect Toho's later project?
D-Man, I'll let you answer this first.
Uh, I don't know. It seems like nowadays, for the most part, video games are just kind of transitioning to first-person shooters, and from what I've heard, that seems to be carrying over into the Godzilla gaming industry, because there's a new game coming out. I don't remember what it's called, but it's about like Godzilla and Ultraman in a city, and I guess you're like just a man or an army man on the streets trying to avoid it all. So it sounds like they're going more the first-person shooter route, which is kind of like
So kind of like Godzilla Strike Zone
yeah, they're it sounds
for tablet.
it sounds like they're doing that.
Except I actually read into it because I know what you're talking about. It's for virtual reality, and it's more complex than the actual tablet Strike Zone. And I heard that it's going to be like, I think, here's my opinion. I like when you get to play as Godzilla, but a game where you could literally be in the world of Godzilla and experience it firsthand to me seems pretty cool too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
depending on how they do the game, like if
Yeah,
they take it seriously, I could see it being very fun.
like the game where you have to do certain checkpoints or get certain stuff, and the whole time Godzilla is there or something's there, and I feel like you could really work upon that. But to answer
Right.
your question about the gaming industry, in my opinion, is that we got the taste of the Godzilla PS4 game, which didn't give us too. It gave us a decent amount of monsters in a pretty decent fighting style. It just didn't give us enough modes or options. And if they could increase like the amount of modes or options and monsters, it'd be perfect. I mean, because I really don't want to go back to Godzilla Unleashed. It was a fighting game. It was cool, but it wasn't Godzilla.
Right.
I feel like the two things that PS4 game could have benefited from was number one, if they had like a multiplayer, not like the online, but if they had, so you could play two players, like two people in the room. Lots of people would have been happy with
Split
that.
screen.
Yeah, lots of people would have been happy with that. Um, Also, I feel like the game could have just benefited from some more randomization in terms of game, because the God of Destruction is the same every time. Like, unless you take a different path every time you play, you're always going to wind up going to the same spots and fighting the same monsters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's also the same
That
way
was a
for.
common.
Oh, continue, please.
Yeah, that was a common complaint. The repetition of the game, and the controls were also an issue for people.
You
I
see,
I've heard.
the controls to me, like to me, I think they feel okay. Like it's just something you have to get used to. And I'm okay with the controls, but the repetition is the major part to me. And I also think that some of their monsters, they could have put better monsters in there.
Like
Yeah,
an example.
Let's say what monster? I really would have liked to see something like a Baragon or more of like something. What was it? Like something outsourced, like maybe even Gamma or something that would have made things different. Because when you have monsters like Mothra and Batra and Mothra larva and Batra larva, they're very either weak or you can't hit them with the monster you're playing as. Like if you tried using 64 Goji against King Ghidorah, you're gonna get destroyed.
Yeah, I feel like I don't
yeah,
know. There would have been some fun monsters if they had added in there. Titanosaurus would have been a cool one.
Oh yeah, no, he would have been awesome. King Caesar.
That would have been cool. It sounded like originally they were going to release a whole bunch of DLC with that game, but then they never got the chance to.
Oh, I just thought of the one I was gonna say, Orga.
Orgo would be pretty cool.
I think Orga would have a pretty actually awesome effect being in that game. I wish they would have released DLC because I heard that they're not going to.
No, I think that game is kind of dead.
It died in the first few months, sadly. I mean, I still play it.
Me
I could
too.
play. It's just that
yeah.
the addition of Godzilla
Uh,
2018 I loved though.
Except that that character is so overpowered when you play online.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
yeah. If I may interject, part of the fact that it kind of died so quickly was that the only people who liked it really was the fans of the movies. The mainstream gamers really didn't pay much attention to it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's always going to happen. Even in terms of movies, I feel like general audiences probably won't go rush out to see this new Godzilla movie.
Except in Japan.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Americans, they're not really going to be a major fan of this. It's not going to be their cup of tea.
It's not even getting released in theaters here.
In some theaters, actually, I heard that some theaters are releasing it just very limited.
I think that they're trying to push for that,
Uh,
but I haven't heard of any official releases yet.
Mm,
yeah. There was a distributor who kept on claiming that they had the rights. Just a few days ago, they made the announcement that that was false, and there is no distribution deals yet.
That was New World Cinemas, I think.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
but those guys have been popping up everywhere, if I'm right. Like, it's not... No, it's Royal. Royal is the cinema that's been popping up everywhere recently. Well, at least where I live.
Where I am, we only have AMC's.
Yeah, ours are... We had Hollywood Cinemas is what we got. Is what they're called, at least. So, what next question?
Let's see. How do you think the two franchises going at the same time will work? The Legendary and the Toho.
Oh,
I think there will be like big backlash. I think it was kind of a mistake. I think there's going to be too much confusion. Um, people are going to be confused. It's just what happened when '98 was released, and then the following year or 2 years later, depending on where you were, Godzilla 2000 was released. There was so much confusion. No one went and saw Godzilla 2000. It bombed at the box office in terms of America. So I don't know how it's going to do in Japan, but I can't see this holding up for Americans.
you see, that's why they're not releasing it in America mainly, is because I think they learned their lesson from trying to show American audiences how it's really made. But so I'm not really surprised if it wouldn't do well. Now, personally, I like that there are two franchises because it gives you more opportunity.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you can watch Godzilla 2014 and its series But then Toho has its own version with its own unique story. It's like getting a fresh story while you're already watching something new. It's pretty cool, in my opinion.
Don't get me wrong. I'm super excited that there's two series. I'm loving the fact that Toho's in it again. I just don't think that it'll do well in terms of sales.
Well, no, of course not. But you also got to put to the fact that Toho almost seemed to be trying to move away from Godzilla ever since 2004. Because they just did not. 2004 and the Millennium series didn't do that good.
They bombed.
Yeah, so, there was a whole lot of backlash that I think Toho was trying to really move away from Godzilla movie-wise. And the thing is that really Godzilla is Toho's stamp. Like, besides, like, Rodan or Mothra. And even still, when you think of Toho Studios, when you're a fan, all you can think of is Godzilla, unless you're a diehard Rodan fan. And I have not met diehard Rodan fans.
Well, there is Seven Samurai and a variety of anime films that they released.
God, have you ever seen the Mysterians?
I have not seen
dear.
that full movie.
Neither have I. I'm just... That's the one person that's just so big into the Mysterians that this whole chat just bothers.
Just like dislikes the video right now just because we're
Mysterians.
taking its name in vain.
Oh yeah, it's like the Rodan comment. There's gonna be like one diehard. Like all we have to do is look at who dislikes it, and we can pick out the Rodan. And
The
Mysterian.
Rodan fan, the Rodan Mysterian. He just got to get himself some Mogera.
Yeah, you can. Mogira, you see, in Mysterians, he kind of looked derpy to me,
Oh,
like
he looked
Rodan.
ridiculous.
Oh, Rodan did not look too pretty either in '65. So
I thought Rodan's solo movie looked. I thought Rodan looked so much better than he did when he came into Godzilla.
well, that's the beautiful thing is because on the PS4, that's what they put into the game.
No,
which
they did. They used that original design.
And you see, I like Fire Rodan the most, besides the classic, because to me, I think the classic is literally a mix of Fire Rodan and Rodan 2004. If you look at it hard enough, it combines the best of both features to me.
Yeah, I always liked the classic.
Also, I paid attention more, and apparently one of the Rodans has a black or silver streak along its back, which I found quite interesting.
I didn't know that.
Neither did I.
Yeah, I know. It's because they're either mates or siblings. I can't remember.
Oh, they were mates in the original.
Oh, thank God! I felt like I was getting backlash.
Hopefully not both.
Oh,
Yeah,
Rodan!
God.
Welcome.
Get
To
a
this
Rodan baby with a third wing.
Oh God!
It's like a
Welcome
fin on
to
his
this.
back.
Welcome to this segment of Rodan incest. It's we're gonna get so much backlash for that. But let's move on. What do you guys think about? Oh God, I feel like I'm gonna lose it. Do you guys think that Shin Godzilla will have a sequel?
Oh, jeez.
I think that they're gonna make another one after Shin Gojira, but I don't know that it's gonna be a sequel to Shin Gojira. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like we might be like the Millennium series, just anthology, different one every time.
Except this time they have no basis because it's not linked to 54. So, but here's the thing: if they're pumping out a new Godzilla every year, which I don't object to, I just feel like it's harder to pull off the whole new look every movie situation in this day and age.
Yep.
Because if we have Shin Godzilla at 118 meters looking like he does, but then we immediately get like the next Toho Godzilla that doesn't look utterly destroyed and is even taller, looks more like a classic Showa or Heisei Godzilla, I just feel like it might not go over as well as it used to. Because, used to in the Millennium and the Showa series, he looked different almost every time, and people were like, yay! But I don't think they'll be able to get away with it as time progresses.
Well, let me ask you this, because you did bring up an interesting point. Do you think Godzilla is too big now?
No. I actually wish he was bigger because you look at some of the buildings we've built and they dwarf him.
I feel like
Yeah, because you can continue there.
I was just gonna say, I feel like they've kind of reached their peak limit. I don't want a Godzilla over 500 feet. I want him under 500 feet at max.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
I mean, honest, I think it'd be cool if there was a Godzilla that was literally a mile long, which I think is 1,500 feet. I think that would be interesting, unique. Let me see. 100 equals how
Yeah, I
many?
was gonna say the Godzilla size has changed over the years, kind of to reflect the size of buildings at the time. So
Yeah.
Okay,
Although
so
that. Alright, you go ahead.
the tallest he could be without passing the 500-foot mark is 150 meters. Or, if I round up a few, let me go to 152. Yeah, 152 meters would be 498.68 feet tall.
Yeah. That
Yay,
just
man.
seems so big to me.
Yeah, true. What were you going to say before I gave out that info?
Me or Jonathan?
You, because you were the one talking, I think.
Oh, Oh, I was gonna say, because I don't really think Godzilla's size is reflected the size of buildings in that day and age, only because if you take a look at the Millennium series, he was scaled down a lot compared to what he was at in the Heisei series.
Oh, yeah.
well, yeah, I was talking like earlier in the series. That's
Yeah, he's
how
talking
they did it.
about buildings were literally about the size of the monsters.
Back in like early Showa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
or like if 54 walked through LA now, it would not be as terrifying
No, it would not.
because people were literally about the size of his toes. And it's scary when the buildings aren't as big and he's taller than everything, but like the tower that collapsed on 2014, Goji, that would like destroy 54 sadly, I think, because of just how big it was compared. And I'm not saying he'd die. I'm just saying, like, look at that building that collapsed on Goji 2014, and then try to imagine 1954 beside it. It's just not a good contest. So, on to the next point. Is there any more questions either of you had?
I had one. It's kind of optional because you may not have seen it, but thoughts on Attack on Titan movies and how those might be similar to the new Shin Goji.
Ooh, I'm sort of opted out now. Don't take this wrong. I don't really hate Attack on Titan, but I had a lot of people telling me Titans were better than Godzilla, so I just decided to ban Attack on Titan from my watching space just to prove a point.
That's like what I did with Frozen. Everyone was telling me it was the best Disney movie ever, so I boycotted.
Yeah, so I was just
I
like,
boycott all of Disney, so
you see, I'm okay with some Disney because some Disney is okay, but a lot of it is just
I like
not
the
me.
old stuff.
You see, here's the thing I have about the old stuff is that if you pay attention to the old stuff, there's so many dark stuff in it that it's almost terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I liked.
Oh, beautiful.
Uh, Anyways, Attack on Titan. I have only seen bits and pieces of it, and I would certainly hope that Shin Gojira is not as gory as those live action Attack on Titans were, only because I don't think it fits the Godzilla style.
Right.
the one Godzilla movie that pulled off being very personal and hitting GMK, like the scene when his tail hits that
Yeah.
that hospital, I was like, oh, you could feel it. And then the Heisei Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, when when he when he blew up the guy who was his pal in the
when he killed
past.
Shindo.
Yeah, you could like feel the tears. You could feel the anguish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, if that were like Attack on Titan, that scene in GMK, you would have seen the tail go right into the hospital building, and then the girl just explode when she hits it. Because that's the kind of thing that Attack on Titan movie did.
Yeah, but that would take away
Yeah.
from the monster.
Exactly. I don't think that Shin Gojira should move that direction, and I'm kind of worried that it will, only because of the design and who's directing it.
You see, I don't
Yeah.
fully believe that
Well,
because it's just not how it's styled. So it's just how it's styled. Sorry, my dog opened the door.
That's fine.
So it's very interesting because they like to bust in my room.
well,
So give me a
what
second.
I thought was,
Guys, continue so I can get my dogs out.
yeah, what I was thinking was, compared to the cartoon, the movies were kind of more shocking because with a cartoon, it's kind of easy to blur that line and say that's not real, it's okay. But with live action characters getting put in these terrifying situations, it's kind of a lot scarier. It doesn't really have to be gory, but
Yeah, and I've seen more of the anime than I've seen of the live action movies, and I actually don't hate the anime. I think it's good for an anime because I've only seen a couple. But
I'm back, by the way.
okay, but I'm just worried. I'm worried about what Shin Gojira will become.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't really believe it'll be gory because not too gory because even though the guy who's doing it is the Attack on Titan guy, I think he knows the limits. Hopefully, like
Well, it sounds like he's familiar enough with the source material to be able to make a good movie.
well, the only thing that made me cautious
Right.
of him is the fact that when he was first offered the job, he was so scared to do it that he didn't even he denied it at first.
I did not know
well, anyone would be.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I was kind of worried because you don't hear about that often, and when people are scared to jump on projects, it makes you afraid that they might slip because they're so nervous.
I say the opposite. If they're nervous and they don't want to do it at first, then they're probably not going to try and do anything too differently, and they're not going to do anything wrong. Kind
Yeah.
of. They're
that.
too careful.
Like they'll play it safe. That's a good point.
Right.
Possibility, very good possibility. Now you see, if Godzilla caps his size to 150 meters, I think I'd be satisfied.
To
Yeah.
to just under 500.
Yeah, because he reached that limit, but at the same time, he wouldn't be too big.
Yeah.
The only reason I want Godzilla bigger is because if you ever look at poster art or fan art of like Godzilla, and then there's these giant monsters like that are like as big as cities.
Oh yeah.
Like it has like because there was one that I saw of that, and he got like destroyed, and I was like, come on. I was like, come on.
Here, I'll send you guys a picture really fast of one of the new promotional things for Shin Gojira, where it looks like he's 1,000 feet tall.
Oh god, that's crazy.
This was
Let
one
me
of
just,
the one of the new ones that they put out.
Dang.
And it looks like, cause from that bridge, it looks like he's like twice the size of whatever that building is. Probably more, like twice the size of that bridge.
Now, this is the official release photo.
It was one of the ad campaign things that I was talking about. It's
Oh,
just part of their marketing.
yeah, because the design is not as beautiful as before. And what I
Oh
noticed
no.
is, yeah, his chest isn't even very accurate in this photo.
Yeah, the
I
chest has
can't
that
see it,
weird
so
spike up on it.
Well, you see, that's his breastbone, which is very notable in almost every show of Godzilla. Like in 54, that one long bone running down his body.
I just looked up at my figure and just noticed it.
Yeah, all the Showa Godzillas have that. That's a major Showa Godzilla thing.
Yeah, they keep using this picture as or that picture of Godzilla as their ad campaign, and I think it's a terrible picture.
It is. The thing is, this is a Godzilla that you have to look at certain angles for it to really make sense.
That's
Because
one point that I brought up is that the suit to me works at certain angles better than it does at others.
Because if you notice that photo that you sent of him standing up with, the his legs don't even look as big.
Mm-mm.
And I think that has a lot to do with the whole proportions thing. Because in this photo, compared to the one where he was on the beach, he doesn't look as messed up either.
What it might be, because everyone's talking about this regen theory, I think that's a possibility, but what it might be is just the transition from suit to puppet to CG. They might not have kept it consistent all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but really, I just think that it's interesting because if it is regeneration, which is a possibility, to me it personally makes some sense because if you look at this photo compared to the him walking on the beach, it's either I don't know, it's very confusing all of it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, a
really,
little.
I just hope it because I'm gonna put the photo up. And what you can notice is that his upper legs are slightly different. Yeah, you put it up too.
Yeah.
His upper legs, where his knees are slightly different in that photo than the other one, and his arms are slightly different.
Yeah.
I'm guessing we're gonna put this photo. These photos are gonna go in the video, or
Maybe, depending on how lazy I am.
yeah, I get that feeling. That's fine. If this doesn't go up in a photo, this is the famous or infamous beach photo that has the bowling-shaped Godzilla appearance to some people.
Yeah, the bowling pin.
You see,
I love those jokes. Those always make me laugh.
see, he's a bowling pin to you now until he steps on your house and destroys your family.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like GMK when those people were making fun of Godzilla, saying he'd be like a cute pet, and it was literally the chick who got crushed in the hospital.
Oh,
Oh, I was thinking like in 54 when they killed Shinkichi's brother.
Oh yeah. Well, you see, that guy was kind of sad because he was literally just like he was a decent guy.
And his brother survived the attack of Godzilla just to get killed the following week.
Yeah, and then the whole issue of like the rain scene, like the rain was so like
That was my very first flagged video on YouTube. I uploaded that typhoon scene.
dude, that typhoon scene was beautiful because that rain just felt so crazy to me. I felt like that would be the storm you would definitely not want to be in.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the franchise. That's like the reveal shot too, because you see his leg go through, but you don't get to see the rest of him.
yeah.
Anyways, back to the current state of Godzilla.
Yeah, let's get this straight off that people are going to compare this to 54 for the rest of its existence.
I think that might be intentional, though. I think they're going for that. In terms of design and tone, at least.
Well, the thing is that Gareth Edwards said that he wanted to get that feel for 2014, but the Mutos sort of ruined that.
Yeah.
like, because there was more scene of Muto than Godzilla, and I get why. It was a whole suspense ordeal. But suspense nowadays tries so much to be like Jaws, and it
The
just,
slow build up.
yeah, it just can't keep up. Like, I get wanting to, like, because the scenes where you see Godzilla slowly on the airport, his first sequence where you get to see his full body, that's awesome. The scenes where he slowly comes out of the water and you don't get to see all of him, or he crashes through the bridge, that's awesome. But there needs to be more of it. When it came to Jaws, they didn't have a good monster to begin with. It was a very unreliable shark that didn't look too good.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think a lot of people who are inspired by Jaws forget, is because they think, oh, it was so great, it's so suspenseful, all this. It had to be. It's not like they did that intentionally. It had to be to cover up the fact that they had something that didn't work properly. They had that mechanical shark that never worked.
Yeah.
So, trying to put Godzilla in a suspenseful way is okay for the beginning of the movie, but when Godzilla appears, he appears. There's no more suspense.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, it's like that quote in '98. How do you lose a giant lizard? You can't.
Precisely.
Apparently, he just dives down a little lower than the boat's camera, and then they lost him.
Well, apparently he dives in the Hudson River, which is smaller than he is, I'm pretty darn sure.
Oh, you're talking about '98 still? I was talking about 2014. All they did to
Oh.
lose Godzilla was he swam under the camera, and they lost him.
I just loved how he was speeding up. I was like, he's bigger than all of
Yeah,
you
like how they
combined.
couldn't keep up with him.
I mean, I know he's supposed to swim, but jeez. You have jets and you have sonar. I feel like it's not that hard.
I'm looking at this picture
Yeah.
still, this Shin Gojira at the bridge.
I don't want to look at it. I mean, it's cool.
It is weird. It's a weird
It doesn't-
picture.
I think that what they did
Actually, that looks like a boat.
it's
Well, I thought it looked like a boat at first, but then you can see the bridge in the back.
yeah, it's an island. My whole worry with this Godzilla is that his face is too, to me personally, it's too detailed to an extent. Because look at his face from that angle, and you can see every detail. That's cool and all, but he kind of makes him look like the Cookie Monster has rabies sometimes. I mean, I'm not even trying to diss him. I'm just saying, like, his lower jaw could really be fixed.
Yeah. There's a couple things about this design that I'm not a fan of. The arms are not one of them.
You see, here's the thing. As I said, he needs to be unproportional. He needs to be a living nightmare. He is the message of nuclear war. So that I'm fine with. I'm fine with his disproportional features. I just think that they should have cleaned some things up a bit.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm not gonna hate on him because I actually really like this design. But you can find problems with each design. Let's go back to the Showa series, shall we?
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
We go back to.
You're gonna get that
Oh,
way, are you?
Oh, I'm gonna get a lot of hate mail. I feel it in my bones. People are gonna subscribe and unsubscribe to me just to be hateful. But off of that, like this early '70s Godzilla design, and also the late '60s. Besides, like '68 was okay. Godzilla 1968 was fine. Godzilla vs. Zebra was not. Son of
That
Godzilla?
design sucked.
Oh, Son of Godzilla was not. Godzilla's Revenge? Oh, hell no.
Godzilla's. Wow.
Wow,
And then
dude, that's the Destroy All Monsters design you're talking about.
I actually, like, 68 looks fine to me, but Son of Godzilla, I feel like there's slight differences between the two, unless I'm just purely mistaken, which sometimes I wouldn't doubt.
I think the thing is just the suit was decaying over time, and it looked worse
Yeah.
and worse as it did. Like
Well,
when you
they
get
also.
to like when you get to Godzilla vs. Gigan, it looked like crap.
Oh, it did, but the thing was is that they kept changing or modeling the head,
Yeah.
which was a big issue.
That was starting with 73 to 75. That was when they started just changing the head.
Well,
And
actually, it was.
I love that Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla designs. Those are two of my favorite designs.
I'm okay with it because to me, like if you watched my Evolution of Godzilla Showa series, I explained that he literally has evolved to the situation he's in, and I think that that is the last or most major evolution of the hero Godzilla.
I did check out those videos. Those were pretty good.
Yeah, because like literally Godzilla in the 70s. Because if you go back to 64, most of his major attacks were throwing rocks or getting right up into the enemy and like pushing them. Well, and then you go further and further, and you get into the 70s, and his whole arsenal of his body has adapted to fight monsters.
Hmm.
Like he boxes, he
Right.
slides on his tail. He learned how to fly.
Yeah, how come Shin Gojira can't fly?
Oh God,
Couldn't you just
please!
imagine this Godzilla design just flying through the air?
I think it'd be a nightmare.
Oh,
No, with the
it
same music
most
in the
certainly
back.
would be.
No, with the same music in the back.
Oh God.
If this Godzilla flied, I think his tail would be dragging the whole way.
Probably. It's like three. Or it'd just circle around him.
It's about as long as he is.
Oh, it's twice the size.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it really twice his size?
Yeah, I'll link you a picture of the
Oh,
where here
the,
the Shin Gojira statue.
okay. You see, the major difference is that he waves his tail around a lot more than every other Godzilla does.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, I see that. I think I've seen this photo before.
Yeah, it is long.
It is rather long, but I'm okay with that.
I am too. Like I said, I don't know which video. I may have said it in a video that I haven't released yet, but I did say, if you're going to exaggerate the tail, why not go all out?
Yeah, especially because people have the biggest theory now is what's on his tail at the end of it.
That is, I don't know what that is.
Some say it's fossilization, but part of me believes it's like part of his body.
I think what a lot of people are saying makes sense. Like, I think he was exploded or something, and then a lot of things just wound up getting mutated into him.
True. Very true. And, his spines took on a more 84 type of look to me.
I
Like,
got more classic Maple Leaf.
well, I mean, Maple Leaf shape, but the
Uh,
thing is that it's more Heisei with the multiple rows.
Yeah.
yeah.
And,
Will, you can continue.
oh no, I was just thinking to myself, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, from this angle, legs look just fine, guys.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is the legs, they never look bad in any other shot than the one of him walking on the beach. I haven't seen one picture where they look bad.
Right.
Here, I'll send you this one also. This is the new statue. The legs don't look bad here either. This one is they just put this statue up at a mall.
Oh, geez, that's crazy. I can't
Yeah,
get a good face,
it's
but
bigger than people. It's like 6 feet tall.
Oh,
Here's the
that's neat.
face.
okay, good, because I could not get a good look at the face. No, no, I feel like they could have done some eye work on the face a little better.
Yeah, I think that they could have just gone one more set, like they could have modeled it one more time, made it polished, because I don't think that the statue looks great in terms of quality, but I think the design looks good.
Like, because have you seen the SH Monster Arts?
No, I don't think so.
They're releasing a Shin Gojira SH Monster Arts figure, and whereas most of the figures look very realistic, he looks a bit more plasticky, or I don't know how to say it, like shinier. It's weird. Like, I'll probably send you a photo or something, or if you find it, put a photo up.
Oh, I may have seen this one before.
And he just doesn't he doesn't feel like an SH Monsters art project to me.
A lot
'Cause
of
he
a lot of the figures that they've been releasing for Shin Gojira have been very stylized. Is it this one?
Let's see. Yes, that is indeed the one. But as I was saying, you can see his body is not as
Yeah, it's not detailed like the other ones. It doesn't look like.
now his mouth is pretty interesting though.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the GMK design that they released.
Oh, that was so realistic that it was scary.
Yeah, that is really good. They even have a pretty good 89 design.
Toho's doing pretty good on the toy industry.
Yeah, they are. I'm liking
Yeah.
these new Shin Gojira toys.
I want them to re-release a bunch of the 6-inch figures though in American stores,
Here, check that
Like
figure out.
like Baragon. You know,
Yeah.
I really like Baragon too. I mean, I guess it's not Oh God, what is this from?
I have no idea. I found it on Instagram.
Hmm.
I think the
Yes.
coloring is off, but other than that, I think it looks really good.
They put more red into it.
And the other thing, look there, the legs aren't too fat.
Yeah, I think it's just that one shot.
Yep.
The thing is that this Godzilla isn't the best at a forward angle.
No.
Like, if you look at him from the front, it's not as pretty. But, you know, he's not supposed to be pretty to begin with. The scene I really like is when he roars, when they do the roar.
At the beginning of the trailer?
Yeah, because he does the whole head movement and everything. And it was even the classic roar. They didn't make a new one.
Yeah, which is another thing I wanted to ask you
I
guys.
think
What
that
roar do
was
you think
just
they're
for-
using?
I think they're using the one that they put out, like maybe a mix of 54, but a big, you know, the Showa or Heisei classic roar that we all know.
I think they might go for more of a early Heisei type roar.
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that they think they're going to use the 84 roar. Some people think they're going to use the 54 roar. I say they're going to use, like, the Showa roar.
I think the Showa or 54 roar, to me personally, would suit it the best.
Whenever I've made, like, a trailer or edit of it, I've always used the 84 roar.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the 84 roar would be pretty good. I just personally like 54 roar for a lot of things. Like, I feel like this creature personally could pull off the 54 or 84 roar perfectly.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, what else do we want to talk about? We've got to the toy market. We've got from our segment of Rodancest. I'm sorry, I'm never going to let that live down.
That's going to be our main thing, huh?
Welcome
Well,
to the lab, where we talk about how horrible the Mysterians are and Rodancest. But no, seriously, on a more serious note, what do we want to talk about next?
I guess the...
yeah,
what do you have, Jonathan?
I was just gonna bring up Gamera and Ultraman.
Well, I like Gamera, but me's not a fan of Ultraman too much.
Because they got a trailer recently, and we've seen literally nothing else.
Are you referring to that old CG Ultraman trailer from like a year or so?
No, it's fairly recent. When I saw, it was all CG, but it wasn't.
I don't know if I've
It
seen it.
wasn't older.
No,
Yeah.
I like Gamera, but I'm not really feeling the new Gamera as much. I liked the Heisei Gamera.
Okay, yeah, I've seen this Ultraman trailer. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if it's real or not,
It was put out
to be honest.
July 17th last year.
Yeah. That would be the one.
Yeah, that trailer I don't think is good. I don't think Ultraman looks good. I don't think the kaiju that he fights in it looks good. On the other hand, the Gamera trailer I think looks very good.
Camera trailer looked fantastic.
It did, but like the lines, the dialogue were a bit silly to me.
Oh yeah, they were way too cheesy. Like the dad say, if you don't outrun the monsters, you don't get ramen.
Yeah, I was like, I was like, God, they make such a beautiful action scene and ruin it with such a horrible line.
Yeah, if you die, then you don't get any food.
I mean, that would motivate me
Um,
if I
You
couldn't
know-
get my chicken McNuggets.
listen, we're not going to McDonald's if this thing gets you.
Like, but I want a Happy Meal.
Then run!
Yeah.
You see the golden arches in the distance. Gee.
It's like a mystical shot. That's the hero that saves them all. Gamera doesn't even show up.
No, it's
Ronald
Gamera.
And then
McDonald.
the Burger Town from Modern Warfare 2.
Oh god.
No, it's literally Gamera with the M arches painted on his shell.
You just get it's a giant Ronald McDonald and Gamera team up to fight the Gauss.
Oh God, I would so be upset. Like I'd be like, I wasted my life on this.
Oh god. I'm just right now I'm trying to picture what the title of this video will be called.
I don't know. I feel like this is more of a blog.
Discussing some stuff.
I feel like it started as a discussion topic and just turned into
Podcast almost.
a podcast.
Kinda.
I'm fine with that.
We could probably advertise this as podcast, but here's the thing. We don't want to make this too long because I don't think people are going to be able to or want to watch it for an hour unless
I could split it into parts if you think that'd help.
That would help. That would help a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe edit out where my dogs decided to
I mean,
like operate my door.
that's just a classic moment in history
Oh,
now.
I guess it is, isn't it? I
No,
could
no.
also I could ask you to edit out the Rodancest, but
Oh
I feel
no,
like
that one's here to stay.
Ugh.
Alright, so I guess the final thing that I wanted to talk about was what were you guys' thoughts on the Shin Gojira trailer? Because we've talked about pretty much everything else but that trailer.
In one word, beautiful.
Pretty much
Yeah,
the same. I
I've
loved it.
Watched it like a million times.
Yeah.
No.
I see. I watch it every time and just hope that one day I'm gonna watch it and it's like updated. there's really more to it than just music.
Oh, but I love that song.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And here's the thing: what I didn't like about 2014 is that they didn't put any original Godzilla themes in it, which may be tacky of me, I guess. But Godzilla 2014 with a Akira Ifukube score would have been beautiful.
I had the same problem. In theaters, I turned to my dad. There was 2 complaints that I said. I thought it was a perfect movie, but I turned to my dad, and this was early on, by the way, and I said, oh, I hate that there's no atomic breath, and then, like, 20 minutes later, the atomic breath shows up. So then I was like, alright, this is a perfect movie, because I was expecting the end credits to roll with an Ifukube song, but then they didn't, and that kind of ruined it.
Yeah. I mean, the score is pretty good, but it just doesn't have a Godzilla feel to it.
It sounds, if you pay attention, the main theme sounds very similar to the main theme from '98.
Yeah, I don't even because there are people
Yeah.
who make references that G14 and G98 are the same movie.
Well,
Or,
that's just dumb.
because they're yeah, but here's the thing: is that people who are trying to make these similarities need to realize that there are movie cliches in every movie.
Yep. It's like,
So,
me and you were just talking last night about that Friday the 13th franchise. There's
oh
so
god,
many cliches in that, and yet
But
it's
those work to its advantage.
yeah,
they
it did.
do. I I
Considering,
didn't think there were too many monster movie cliches in G14.
no, but people just like to make crap out of good stuff. So I'm surprised. This is why we can't have nice things. So, I guess are we all out of questions? Anyone else have anything to add before we send the lovelies off to their own devices?
No,
I'm out.
me
Are
too.
you all out? Well, thank you guys for watching this video. I'm Wolf of Dimensions.
I'm D-Man.
I'm Johnos Firewalker.
And thank you for watching. Come again.
See ya.